What's going on, everybody? My name is Aubrey. Welcome to aubREyVIEW. Welcome to Zonse Live. And this is the second installment of my reviews. And today I'm listening to David Kalilani's Lost Tapes 2. If you don't have a lot of time to listen to the whole review, I've given this album a 7 out of 10 based on the music being a 10. The style, David has, in some songs, has adapted and kept with the times, and I think that's really, really good for a veteran of the game to do that. The only reason I've given it a 7 is because in some places I feel some points are quite controversial, and I think they are counter productive in terms of the objective of what he is trying to do.
Used to be so sacred. So sacred.
Absolutely amazing singer. That was the perfect feature, and you set the tone for the album. What I like about the intro is he's saying, let's go back to a point where we're more reverent, to a point where we're more prayerful, to a point where we're a bit more serious about the faith, about Christian hip-hop music. And I think that's very encouraging. I love the contradiction of what he's saying. Using a hip-hop track, I'm not saying I'm not an MC, I am not. Sir, you are. You are an MC, and if people feel they're going to put you in their top 5, in fact, some people put you in the top 1, I think it's something to embrace. It speaks to where you're coming from, and I recognize that you are a great MC, a great lyricist, and you showed that on this track. In Radical, I like where David pauses Creedy and says, yo, just speak to Joe and let me kind of, I like that. It's that playfulness in songs that stick in your head. And I love Battle Cry. Now, Battle Cry and the next song I'm going to talk about are, for me, the biggest examples of where David has kept with the times. This song, Battle Cry and Ali Munjira, stylistically, the boy has adapted, and by the boy I mean David Kalilani. He's adapted to the current times of hip-hop. The guys that featured on Battle Cry could have easily left him in the dust. Those two boys are hard lyrically, and their presentation. You have to be a hip-hop head to really catch what they were saying, and I think they did a very good job being featured on that song. But David didn't disappoint. He kept right with them, and I really like that for a veteran who's come from that back in the day boom bap rap to go to Battle Cry, but even better to go to a song like Ali Munjira, where he opens the first verse. I think it's the first 4 to 8 bars, and they're singing, rapped, and transition to it.
Time is running out, so make sure you slay your giant, cause you could die today. Trust me, Kobe Bryant. There's nothing in this world worthy for you to boast, man. We're all dying slow every day. Chadwick Boseman. Now,
I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. I'm a big basketball fan. I grew up watching my dad play basketball. My brother and I lived and breathed basketball, and we grew up watching Kobe Bryant, and we love him. Absolutely love him. So when he used that as a lyric, now I get it. He's trying to impress upon people's hearts that there's an urgency. You don't know when your last day is. But I didn't like that line. It continues on. You heard where he talks of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, for my son, was the first time, apart from Falcon, that he saw a black superhero that everyone respected. Chadwick Boseman, his death left a lot of people heartbroken. And so when I heard Kobe Bryant and then soon after Chadwick Boseman, it stopped me in my tracks. And I'm going to be quite honest, I was disappointed by using those names, not only because they're respectable characters, I guess, in the black community, but they've sadly passed away. But let's move on. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I think if there is something that that knocked me about this album is where people's names are being referenced. And I think we just needed a little more reverence for those people, especially if they've passed away. Let's move on.
Yes, you.
If there is something you're going to take away from the album, it'll be this song and the songs I will talk about in the end. I feel like if we're going to wake people up, especially 2020 has been a very bad year, man. A lot of people have struggled with coronavirus and just the change in lifestyle. Giving people hope, encouraging people, always, to me, speaks of exactly what God's love is. And I like that. I really did like that. In the second verse of Same Time, I'll let you guys listen to it. There is, in the second verse, he talks of a guy that used to rap, a guy that used to do gospel music, who used to have a ministry. He goes to say there's a guy who used to be married. Now, my life checks all those boxes. Now, that could be anyone. That's fine. I then heard on there, he says, on the outside, he looks good, but inside he is dying. Now, I'm all about fitness. I've positioned my life that way because I've got children, young children, and I'm 36. I want to be there to do things for my kids. I want to be there to be a very involved dad, which I try to be on a daily basis. That's not to say that verse is talking about me, but it ticks all the boxes where I started thinking, okay, that applies to me. And I wasn't fazed by what was said at all. Until it said,
his child is gonna grow up in a home that's not beautiful.
And his child is not gonna grow up to be in a home that is beautiful. I thought about it and I think, empathy again. What about those people that have maybe broken up? Maybe they are divorced. What does that say to how those children will grow up? I would like to think I'm doing an amazing job. I would like to think I'm giving my all to make sure my son does have a beautiful home. When I heard that, it didn't fill me with the same encouragement, with the same hope. It didn't fill me with the same positivity that a person who might be in my situation requires. Sacred. I stopped when I listened to Sacred and I said, you're right, man. We're not where we used to be. And so when I listened to Bars and reconciled it against what he's saying with Sacred, I struggled a little bit. Now here is why. Once again, there are names being mentioned in this song that I wouldn't have put that way.
Get saved or catch flames like Rolls Royce, yeah, Ginimbi. Every day, Manda Gukumba. I hope you knew Christ, R.I.P. Limumba.
It left me a bit disappointed. I'll be honest, it left me disappointed. Straight after that, he then mentions and references Limumba, who is another person that died in the same incident. Once again, if you are those people's family, that's going to leave you with a bitter taste.
Come back to you with the speed of a frisbee. I don't need a king's rifle. I could make army surrender at the barrel of my Bible.
King's Rifles. For those that don't know, King's Rifles is a rap duo and is produced by a guy I personally know who is a personal friend of mine. I didn't understand why they're being referenced in that kind of way. For me, it didn't reconcile with Sacred. It didn't reconcile with what we are saying in this album. I feel like it's slightly controversial, and this song is a solid hip-hop track that is... I don't know, it just didn't fit with the spirit of this album. It just didn't.
I'm a warrior, like the angel Michael. When I get on a mic, I make you see scripture. Bipolar like a split personality. Taking off the old man, putting on the new.
Now, for me, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say David didn't do that intentionally. But that's what he recorded. With empathy, you go, if I record this and it hits this person that way, how are they going to feel? I think that's a check we should have done. And so it has led to a response which I heard, I found on a website, and sadly, man, that's what these things lead to.
Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. Just a closer walk with thee.
I think for me, these songs are what I needed. I smiled listening to it. I closed my eyes listening to it. I actually did a workout. Like I said, I exercise all the time. And this song is absolutely magical of a song. When you go to the end, Ruda hosts you in this climate of just musicality. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you don't understand what she is saying, even if you don't understand the actual hymn she's referring to, just musically, man. And the verses that David puts to it, he says, I was chasing these things. I realized that I really should have been chasing you. And that's where I want to be. Man, that's all that's needed. If this was an EP and the intro was sacred, so you had sacred, always, or my uncle, closer, and Yahweh. That is a completely different vibe of an EP. And so what I have done, I've created a playlist of those songs because they speak to me the most. For other people that are in a different position, they will listen to those songs differently. And that's always great. That's what a good thing about music is, it appeals to people in different ways. Hey man, so with that said, that's been the second installment of aubREyVIEW. That was David Kalilani's Lost Tapes 2. Next I'm going to talk about Baraka Inside Out.
Who with me my burden shares? None but thee, dear Lord, none but thee.